Thank you very much. Mr. Burns, if you call the roll, please.
Absolutely. Jackson Bogan.
Present.
Larry Leverins.
Present.
Roland Winger.
Present.
Gary Schroeder.
Present.
Jerry Reynolds.
Present.
Greg Jones.
Present.
Jake Gray. I believe Jake Gray is absent. Diana Looper.
Present.
Vicki Pearl.
Present.
Michelle Dennis.
Present.
Tom Murtaugh.
Present.
Harry Brown. Perry Brown. Anybody see him? Okay, I believe Perry is absent. Tracy Brown.
Present.
Jason Domkowski.
Present.
Lisa Dullum.
Present.
Kathy Parker. Kathy Parker. Anyone see or hear her? I believe she's absent. Carla Snodgrass.
Here.
There is a quorum present.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the approval of the minutes.
I move we approve the minutes from the February 17th, 2021 meeting as submitted.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? That carries. On to new business. A little bit of exciting new business. I understand that somebody on this call may have won the APA Indiana Planning Sagamore Award for 2021. I don't know who that might be, but I believe that there might be a video that we would like to show. Sally, congratulations from all of us.
Thank you.
Can we cue up that video now?
Yes.
Sally D. Fahey is known for relentlessly serving her community as an admirable leader. Her commitment to the planning profession stems from a deep-rooted desire to serve the public in all forms available to her. She loves people, works hard, and always at the service of citizens, a true reflection of the Hoosier spirit. Her in-depth knowledge of planning principles is unparalleled. She's a walking encyclopedia of knowledge regarding land use policies, land division regulations, case law, and transportation planning in Indiana, and she loves to share her knowledge with anyone who is interested. Many people who have worked for her have greatly benefited from her wealth of knowledge and experience. Her leadership style has allowed team members to be independent thinkers, collaborators, and most importantly, civic-minded. Sally resolves conflicts and handles difficult situations with elected officials of different political affiliations while maintaining a balance of her multi-jurisdictional responsibilities with remarkable patience and admirable tact. She has shown exceptional adaptive leadership in the past year when all in-person public services offered through the Area Plan Commission transitioned to virtual mode due to the COVID-19 health crisis. Her ability to lead the APC team swiftly to a virtual service mode with a minimal interruption to regular office operation was commendable. In many ways, she exceeds the challenging requirements and expectations for this award. Her innovations, intelligence, and accomplishments complement precisely the stellar community of past recipients and make her highly deserving of this honor. Congratulations to Sally D. Fahey, our Indiana Planning Sagamore for 2021.
Sally, this is where I'd like to say that the virtual format absolutely stinks. As many of you, first of all, congratulations from all of us. What an amazing award and accomplishment, one well deserved. For me tonight, as for many, tonight's a little bittersweet. We get to say farewell and best wishes to a wonderful woman who's touched and assisted so many of us in various ways. Sally's professionalism in my short 10 years has been amazing, to say the least, and I'm proud to call her a friend. Sally, I can't thank you enough for all you have done for me and our community. To go along with one of the buzzwords from 2020, I would say your leadership has been unprecedented. With that, thank you, and I know there are some others that would like to say a few words as well. Might I remind our speakers to limit their speech not more than 5 minutes and try not to repeat what others before you have said. Just kidding. Sally, thank you for all you do, for all you have done, for all you will continue to do, and I will turn it over to anyone else that would like to say a couple words.
Well, first of all, this is Kathy Parker, and I'm sorry I had a little technical difficulty getting into this meeting. But anyway, I'll keep this short and sweet. But Sally, I just wanted to say thank you for all of your help. It's kind of a learning curve, and you have just helped me with patience and a calm demeanor, and you have stuck with me when I've had my questions. So I'll miss you, but I wish you the best of luck.
And I guess I'll go next. I don't even know what county government's like without Sally Fahey here. She's been truly an institution in county government, not only just here, but across the state. But when that same video was played at the council meeting last week, it really hit home for me. And I'll admit I got a little misty-eyed. I mean, I just can't imagine what it's going to be like without you, Sally. We're going to miss you a lot.
I was going to have Eric start the timer, but I'll make my remarks briefer. But there's just two parts: transportation planning, and you can just look what has happened in this community when we got awarded some extra federal funds when they were looking for a community that could get the job done. Was a big part and a testament to her planning and the staff's planning, and just land use planning. Just look at the community, how it's grown, and it's just very impressive. Been fun working with you, Sally. Thank you.
It will be difficult for me to not say what others have said, but I promise I will keep it within the time. I, like Tom, did get caught inside when we saw the video and the presentation of the award last week at the council meeting. And it caused me to think back, if you will, take yourself back to the early 70s if you were born. Imagine Larry Leverins with some sideburns and a leisure suit. But if you're back in the early 70s and you could have looked ahead to today to see what we now see in our community, first of all, would you have believed it? And if so, what or who would you have thought we would have needed to help get us where we are? There was so much growth and so much complexity and so much energy needed to be put into this thing, combined with a deliberative and persistent planning to guide the way, yet we are where we are. And so I'm thinking about Sally, if we're going to write a movie script, what would the last 50 years of development be like in a movie? I thought of like a ship going across the Atlantic Ocean, a sailing ship. No matter what the unexpected events were, the twists, the turns of the plot, the characters, and with all due respect to our development community and our elected officials, we do have plenty of characters. One thing is sure in my mind, that the ship wouldn't complete a voyage in a movie like that without a steady captain at the helm. And Sally, you are that captain. I was thinking back to examples, many times when we've debriefed with developers or stakeholders who maybe not liked an outcome of the commission, they've always known that A, the work was done, and B, they know where they stood. There was no surprises. There was steadiness to our community in your efforts, Sally. And then internally, when I started on the APC 10 or 11 years ago, it was awkward as heck to have these occasional disagreements between staff's recommendation and the commission. It was always done inside the process, and the process was trusted. And you, Sally, as captain, would work equally as hard on the next review, and your staff would do the same as you did on the one prior. That steadiness is to be honored. Sally, you're leaving things not just as good as you found them, you're leaving them not just better than you found them, but in my opinion, you're leaving things the best they've ever been. You developed your staff, its leadership, so much, in so many ways you've developed its culture and so many intangibles that we stand ready, I believe, for the adventure of the next 50 years. I talked to David last week, and after his first week or so in the office, he said, you know, these folks are really good. They're true professionals. And that wasn't one bit of a surprise because, again, of your leadership. So, Sally, for me personally, your unwavering commitment to this commission, the county, our region, recognized by the state, even through the arduous process of finding your successor successfully, that confirms all the good things that we know about you, indeed making you the steady captain that we recognize and honor today. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Sally, it's Tracy. I'm going to jump in real quick here, and I will be brief. You and I first met, it's been many years ago, in the Leadership Lafayette initiative, and I mean, the first thing that I noticed about the way that you work with people is just your collaborative spirit. I've always appreciated that, and I fast forward to my time when I first came into the sheriff's office, and there was a commissioners meeting that I was at that was very contentious on a rezoning issue. In fact, I think I'd even been asked to physically remove somebody from a podium at the meeting, and I thought at that time, boy, this area plan stuff is tough. I don't know about it. And then in 2015, came to the commissioner's office. You were one of the first people that I sat down with in your office, and you went through what looked like just a daunting task of reviewing your 3-ring binder and teaching this rookie area plan commission person the ins and outs of zoning. And it is something of all the things that I get to do, and I say get, not have to do, get to do, working with area plan on these issues it's absolutely one of the things that I enjoy the most about serving as a county commissioner, and that is because of you, your mentoring spirit, and the way that you approach what you do. We are going to miss you, and I can't promise you that you won't ever get phone calls from us, but thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all that you've done.
Well, Sally, I can only say that when I retire, that I get as many accolades or comments or favorable comments as you do. I doubt that will happen. Thank you again. With that, we do. Ryan, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
If you would, please, from all of us on the commission, we do have a little item we would like to present to you.
All right. Would you like me to read it for you?
That would be wonderful if you would, please.
All right. Okay, it reads, Tippecanoe County Area Plan Commission presented to Sally Del Fahey. Thank you for the 47 years of dedicated service to Tippecanoe County, the cities of Lafayette and West Lafayette, and the towns of Battle Ground, Dayton, and Clarks Hill. Your dedication, vast knowledge, and collaborative spirit have been instrumental in the success and growth of Tippecanoe County, and has led a pathway for continued success for decades to come. There you are.
Well, I'm just glad I don't have to present a case tonight, because I'm not sure I could. So thanks for such wonderful place to have a career.
Sally, thank you. And we all look forward to celebrating your retirement in a more proper way later on when that time permits and when we are able to do so. And so this is not the end of it. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for all you do.
I just have one other thing to say. 4648776. 24 hours a day.
Thank you for that. Okay. We can now go to the public hearing section. Can everybody still hear me? Okay, thank you. I had a little interruption there. For those of you unfamiliar with our procedures, the commission would like you to know the following. When we hear a request to subdivide land, we are only concerned as to whether the actual drawing showing the division into lots meets the technical requirements of our ordinance. The question of appropriateness has already been determined. Anyone wishing to make comments or provide us with the information regarding any subdivision petitions will be given the opportunity to do so. When we are hearing a request for a change in zoning, we are trying to determine if the new zone being requested and the uses allowed in that zone are appropriate to that property and supported by the comprehensive plan. With each case being heard, our staff will present its report, then the person requesting the rezone will be given an opportunity to speak. Following that, those of you wishing to speak in favor of the rezone will be recognized, and then those of you who wish to oppose it have a turn. This will be your only time to speak. The person requesting the action will be allowed a rebuttal. Plan commission members will then ask questions and finally vote. Please limit your statements to no more than 5 minutes. We ask that you not repeat what others before you have already said. We are a 17-member body and the majority of 17 is 9. Regardless of how many commissioners are actually present, at least 9 votes in favor or 9 votes against are required for our action to be official. If fewer than 9 of us agree to either approve or disapprove an action, that case must be heard again next month. Our vote on a request to subdivide is final. Our vote on a request to rezone serves as a recommendation to the appropriate city council, town council, or county commissioners, who must ultimately decide on changes in zoning. When addressing the commission, please state your name and address for the record. Cell phones must be turned off while in the meeting. If you need to make a call, please step out. All exhibits presented to the commission become the property of the commission.
I move that there be incorporated in the public hearing portion of each application to be heard this evening and to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Plan Commission, the application, all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendation on the applications to be heard this evening, and responses from checkpoint agencies.
I second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? That carries. Subdivisions.
I move to hear and vote on S4979 Oak Ridge Subdivision, Section 2, and replat of lots 14 and 16 in Section 1, Major Preliminary.
I second.
Mr. Lamb?
Okay. This is Section 2, Oak Ridge. If you're not familiar where it's located, is on the west side of County Road 75 East. Farther up north is the north and northwest is the Coyote Crossing golf course and Winding Ridge Subdivision as well, or Winding Creek, I'm sorry. This site was rezoned last November from A to R1, as was in 2013, the Section 1 you can see there clearly labeled. To the south is ag zoning. To the little farther west is some FP associated with an unnamed tributary to the coal ditch. To the east, there's another large area of R1, and to farther south is R1 that's actually in the city of West Lafayette, which would be formerly known as Lauren Lakes, now known as Winding Ridge. This is a proposal for 38 lots plus an outlot. The Section 1 actually included 104 lots. So this is about a third or so of that Section 1, which has been completed. All the public improvements in Section 1 are done and ready to hook up to this next phase of Oak Ridge. The
there's two streets actually. The street that will complete a loop is called Maze Street. There's a cul-de-sac that comes off of this. It's labeled as Street A, but they have chosen an approved name that they did go through our system and get approved, called Boham Court. So that's something that'll have to be carried through on the approved construction plans and final plat eventually. One of the bones of contention for this particular section as submitted was they did not show a required street connection to land to the south, even though it's currently zoned A. I mean, just like this piece of property, you know, the land to the south could be rezoned from A to R1. There's potential development there because we have utilities in the area. So when they submitted their preliminary plat request, they also submitted a variance to request not to have to make that connection. This was transferred to the county commissioners. That was heard at the commissioners' March 1st meeting. And they, after some deliberation, the board did actually deny the variance request because the petitioner, through some negotiation, committed to reserving one of those border lots to be permitted to go to right of way. In other words, when the final plat is recorded, there'll be a reservation stated on that final plat that, in this case, lot 139 will be reserved for right of way. And the condition of that is if the land to the south begins any kind of, and actually we've written in our condition that if the property has a petitioner to rezone from A to R1, that would trigger the need to convert lot 139 to street right of way for that connection to the next development. So because of that, the Plan Commission would have been required to deny the variance at any rate, since the county commissioners did. So in that regard, the petitioner did withdraw the variance, so we don't have to deal with that. Moving on to utilities and drainage. Of course, this section will be connected to section 1, utilities. The storm sewer there will also indirectly be connected to a new detention pond there on that outlot in the northeast corner that you can see on the preliminary plan. They have everything conforming in terms of setbacks and lot area and lot width. Petitioner has requested permission to bond. And in the staff report, you can see the first two conditions cover the Street A needing to be replaced by Boham Court, and then condition 2 that refers to the lot 39 reservation for right-of-way. With that, and the rest of the conditions are standard. That the Plan Commission does, or the area plan staff does recommend conditional primary approval.
Thank you. Petitioner's representative wishing to speak on this?
Yes, Ryan Munden with Ryling, Teeter and Shire here on behalf of the petitioner, Tippecanoe Development, LLC. We concur with staff's report and recommendation. We'll comply with all conditions, and we respectfully request your conditional primary approval. Justin Frazier with T-Bird is here with us as well, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Munden. Do we have any questions from the commission members?
Jackson, we have people in the room who would like to make a statement and maybe ask a question.
Excellent. Thank you, Sally. Have them go ahead to the mic, please, and name and address for the record, please, if you would.
Julie Thompson, 5399 Maze Drive, West Lafayette. So I'm in the subdivision. I had a question about lot 14. It looks like they cut off the back of it. What is the intention there? Because our lot backs it, and I wanted to know, kind of what the idea is, that it flows into the pond or something, or what is the logic there?
Justin,
Answer that.
you able to answer
Justin
that?
can.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Justin Fraser, T-Bird Design. Lot 14, I think that's the one. Yeah, that's the one just to the northwest. So there's a proposed detention pond just northwest of that is lot 14, which was actually, I don't know, Don, if you touched on that, but lot 14 was originally platted in the first section 1, and it's being replatted.
Justin?
And
So sorry, we couldn't hear you. Can you start over what you were speaking? I apologize.
sure. Can you hear me okay now?
1 second.
Oh, we can't have it over the speakers? Because we can't both hear. Yeah.
Do you want me to repeat? Can you hear me?
So either I am the only one who can hear or everybody can hear, and she's trying to fix it.
Okay.
Okay, you put 2 in there.
Okay, we're almost there.
Glad we don't have a crowd.
Can you hear?
Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear now. Can you hear?
Okay. Yep, I can hear.
Hold
Okay,
on. Now my wife can't hear.
I'll just stand close. I apologize. I can't hear anything here.
Okay, are you there now?
Yep, I'm still here. How's that? Any
Okay,
better?
we got one set of headphones. We got it.
We're sharing.
Go for it.
Sharing headphones. Okay, very good. So you had asked a question about lot 14. Are you your neighbors with lot 14, I assume?
Yeah, we're in 15.
Yeah, right next to it. We're at, and then there's also like a big drainage thing behind lot 14, 15. And we're not sure how that all transpires because it's not usable, and I'm not sure if that is, our property butts up against it, and I don't know if that's draining out of that pond into that culvert.
Yep.
Because there's actually lots right there, and there's, you can't do anything with it, so I'm not sure how that works too. So we're thinking about possibly buying the lot next to us, and then just curious how that culvert's supposed to work.
Yeah, so you're on the right track there. That there's existing culvert that goes under that main road out there. I don't have that road name in front of me, I guess, but it's like a 48-inch culvert that goes under that road. This behind lot 14 and behind all those lots there, 114, 115, 116, there's going to be a new detention pond. And the outlet of that detention pond, there'll be a storm sewer that discharges out of that detention pond northerly and into that culvert under the main entrance road. So lot 14, for instance, it will probably be reshaped a little bit, but mostly it's going to continue to drain towards the culvert like it does now, but it may be shaped a little bit differently. But as you go farther south, lot 115, for instance, will probably only go directly into the pond. So there's kind of going to be a berm that's going to be built up back there around that curve.
Oh, okay.
So there'll be a berm that's kind of built up. Some of that area will be reshaped, obviously not anywhere that's already built on the lots around it, but yeah,
So lot 14 was triangular, and now it's rectangular, so you can actually put a house on it. That's what they had to do that.
well, it's just a reshaping. So I started to mention that before you guys realized you couldn't hear me. But lot 14 and 16 both were actually in the original section 1, and
Yeah.
they have been replatted, reconfigured on this section for a more efficient layout, I guess.
Okay. Well, I guess that's our only questions. And besides that culvert, so that pond will drain out of that out of that pond if it overflows and go into that culvert, right? And that goes that culvert's actually going through our property, and I was just curious how that works. There are going to be back-to-back lots there then. Well, there already are. I wasn't sure how that all layout works, because one of those lots you can't do anything with because it's full of big rocks and it's just drainage. So that's going to be the drainage for that pond.
So the backside of your lot 15 is lot 4.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
what you're referring to? Yeah, so lot 4 is going to be reshaped a little bit as well.
Oh, right there. I gotcha. Okay.
So that one's going to be reshaped a little bit to provide a better pad for building. That's actually, lot 4 is actually part of, it's not being replatted, so that's not in front of you as a subdivision here, but it is being modified in the design, in the engineering of it, and the earthwork.
Gotcha. Okay, that helps us understand that a little better. Just one last comment, and I don't know if this affects you guys or not, but with the building of the current stages, I guess, there's been some issues, and we've reached out to the developer there, and we're getting no responses. And we had a friendly neighbor decide to pick up trash out of the field, which is going to be this section you guys are talking about. Well, they picked it up and decided they just wanted to put it in our backyard so that somebody would come pick it up. Any kind of idea or resolution you could offer, suggestions to us to remedy some of these building issues that we're having with, because there's multiple builders, so nobody wants to feel responsible, I guess, for any type of cleanup that blows around because of the wind. Any ideas, offer suggestions? We've reached out to the what they call the HOA, and we get no response. So the next step, I guess, is to ask the city to get involved.
Yeah, we can have the developer talk to the builders. That's something we can discuss.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all we have. Good. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe Mr. and Mrs. Thompson. Sally, is there anyone else wishing to speak on this?
That's it for in the room, Jackson.
All right, thank you. Well, we've had our 1 minute of time for public comment. Ryan, do we have anything?
No comment on social media.
All right, just a reminder, this ballot is in the email that was sent from Diana Trader on 3/16/21 at 8 o'clock a.m. If you would go to that, but before we do that, Mr. Burns, if you would, please.
Yes, sir. When I call your name, please signify your vote by saying approve, conditionally approve, or deny. Jackson Bogan.
Conditionally approve.
Larry Leverins.
Conditional approval.
Roland Winger.
Conditionally approve.
Gary Schroeder.
Conditionally approve.
Jerry Reynolds.
Conditionally approved.
Greg Jones.
Conditionally approved.
Diana Lupo.
Conditionally approved.
Vicky Pearl.
Conditionally approved.
Michelle Dennis.
Conditionally approved.
Tom Murtaugh.
Conditionally approved.
Terry Brown.
Conditionally approved.
Tracy Brown.
Conditionally approved.
Jason Domkowski.
Conditional approval.
Lisa Dullum.
Conditionally approved.
Kathy Parker.
Conditionally approved.
Carla Snodgrass.
Conditional approval.
That's a unanimous vote for conditional approval. One absent only.
Thank you, sir. On to rezoning activities.
Point of order, Jackson, is bonding roped into that vote?
Yes, there is a ballot on that as well. Do we need to do a separate voice vote for that, Mr. Burns?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Ryan. Do you want to call that, Mr. Burns?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I spoke, but you didn't hear me. You could take a voice vote on the bonding, please.
Okay, all in favor of approval of bonding, signify by aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And if we had a motion and a second for that also?
So moved.
Who was that?
Barry Brown?
Barry Brown? And who was second?
Greg.
And if you do the voice vote again, I'd appreciate it, Mr. Bogan.
All those in favor signify by aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All opposed? That carries. Now on to rezoning activities.
I move to hear and approve Z 2787 Concord Partners South LLC, Brian Walker, Sagamore Winds Plan Development, GB and I3 to PDRS.
I second.
Brian?
All right. Well, this project has been, we've been at this for almost a year, I think, if I do my math correctly. But it's a complicated site, as you can see from the complicated looking proposed rezone area that we have here. But I'll go ahead and walk you through what we're doing. We have a project that is essentially about 29 acres in size, and it consists of multiple parts. What we have here is the rezone area, what you see on the map, and that is approximately 17 acres. And that is going from general business and then I-3 to the south to the planned development zone for residential multifamily subdivision in this case. It also includes an area for an outlot. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Well, actually, leave it there, Kathy. Go back to the zoning map. I wanted to just, since we've got the floodplain issue there. So the proposed lot includes a portion of this planned development zoned area to be zoned. And it also includes all of the FP zoning that you see to the south along the Elliott Ditch area, going all the way to the west, to roughly where that FP symbol is located. And then it kind of blocks off going to the east there and then goes north to that I-3 segment. And so that obviously cannot be rezoned to planned development, but it is going to be part of the lot. This does happen with PDs where we will end up with a split zoned property because of floodplain. The last one we did was the Whitaker Inn, where they had their PDMX and then also floodplain zoning as part of the overall project. And within that floodplain zoning, they're programming, open space amenities for, well, in that case, the guests, in this case, the residents. So there's that element too. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. As you can see, it's undeveloped. Keep going. Obviously, very non-residential in this area, commercial, industrial. It's quite a patchwork quilt of non-residential uses and zones. And this site is empty. And so, but it is developing with the extension of Maple Point Drive some years ago, the roundabout. This area is opened up. There's been some non-residential subdivision activity associated with the existing zones in this area. And so this is the first attempt at sort of mixing up uses a bit in a suburban context. Let's go ahead into the next area. Okay, so this is the preliminary plat. You can see where the proposed lot 1 is, and it shows this split zone situation. So the apartment complex is obviously on the non-FP side of the line, and then the floodplain zoned area remains there. There's uses prescribed in the PD. The PD can't add uses. Any uses within the FP zone are bound to the uses available to the FP zone, and so so the owner would be able to enjoy those uses as a matter of right. And he has some, and he may even speak to it tonight, but ideas for, like a private dog park, trails, seating areas, added additional landscaping, et cetera. So the project itself is actually a landlocked parcel. What we're doing here is creating an access easement via that is contains a private driveway that you see here, this little L-shaped street that will connect to an agreed upon location for a curb cut onto Maple Point. The developer has been at it with the owners of the land around Maple Point to establish the proper locations for curb cuts onto Maple Point, and this is the one here that they're willing to tolerate. That's close, as close to the Sagamore Parkway intersection as they're willing to go. And so from this location, the site will have its access. As you see, that driveway and its easement is actually off the PD lot. And that is an arrangement done with the owner of the GB and I3 land that surrounds them. That owner is willing to consent to a rezone of his property within the area of that easement for the driveway. But they were not willing to part with the land in terms of real property transfer to this to create this new lot. That's allowed, but the PD must have PD zoning over those areas that it has essentially access to. That's sort of the legal pathway forward. So what we have is, as you leave the proposed lot, the PD zone continues into off the property, essentially, into this GB and I3 or GB area exclusively in this area. But the underlying zone will be PDRS if rezoned by the city, and that'll get the driveway to Maple Point Drive. In the corner on the left of the near the intersection with Maple Point Drive, there's a small outlot that is being proposed to be platted with this PD, and it will also be zoned PDRS. There it is right there, and it will contain the project's monument sign. It was an outlot was the agreed to path forward because we don't want to have PD billboards off the property. So this lot will be part of the PD as an outlot A or one, or we'll title it later when we get to final platting. But and then there's also a little sign access easement adjacent to the sign and alongside the regular vehicular and public access easement over the driveway, so that there's legal access to reach the outlot. If you've been on Maple Point, you know that the city has a nice trail system there along that side. And so both the monument sign, the monument sign will be sort of pushed back to, away from the right-of-way extent. So we've sized the proposed sign so that it fits and can visually be seen, even though it's going to be pushed back a bit from at least from the back of curb, so to speak. Now, we do want to connect this project to the pedestrian network, and so along the side where the sign is, there will be a sidewalk open to the public within that easement area that'll connect the project near its clubhouse, a pedestrian access all the way to the Maple Point Drive trail, which then gets you onto the city's network. Now, there is a possibility along Elliott Ditch within that floodplain zone, probably a city project, possibly combined with work done by the surveyor's office, a possible trail that may go through there one day. It's and so the developer is interested in having full connection to any city amenities like trails, and so this PD also speaks to that in its narrative, that any future public facility, trail, etc., that goes through that area, they will connect to it. So that's the project in a nutshell. Now, the complex itself that you're seeing here, we can go to the next slide. I think that's a site plan, a little easier on the eyes. It's a 264 multifamily unit apartment complex. It's going to be a mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms. I think the Southern Winds project that Mr. Walker had completed a few years back is a good equivalency in terms of architecture, style, building layout, et cetera. And he's trying to, I think, replicate the success of that project in this portion of the city. Let's see. I can walk through the access pretty good. Of course, public utilities are available to serve the site. As you can see, the architecture is a little similar to Southern Winds and some other projects. It has a nice staggering to it so that it's not all just 3-story block buildings. There's some variation, some architectural interest there. So even though this project's going to be kind of tucked back from Maple Point and not entirely visible, particularly if those commercial properties in front of them develop one day, which no doubt they will. This project does have some nice architectural features to look at, even though it's going to be somewhat secluded as areas develop around it. But it's staff's opinion that, and it's been our policy to support residential intensity, and in this case density, near major commercial centers. And with Tippecanoe Mall right across the big street there on Sagamore Park, where in this case US 52, and the other non-residential properties that are all around them, clearly this is a major node of activity. And so putting multifamily uses in these sorts of contexts it has tendency to reduce trips, give people some options that they wouldn't normally have. And staff feels this is an appropriate project and a needed one, somewhat similar to what we had done just down the street fairly recently with the Ivy Tech Apartments project that's well underway now, trying to create some multifamily options near major activity centers. In that case, the Ivy Tech school, in this case, the major commercial areas along Sagamore Parkway and points beyond. So with that, we are recommending conditional approval. The conditions are in the staff report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. Well done as always. Petitioner's representative wishing to speak on this.
Hi, everybody. Tyler Oaks, Ball Eggleston, 201 Main Street, here with petitioner Brian Walker. Andy Mix is also here, an engineer that can answer questions. We would just like to reiterate everything that Ryan so eloquently said. We think this is a really unique project that's going to be positioned in an area that could really benefit from some residential housing, and we appreciate all the work the APC has done in helping us to get this project to come to fruition. This will be Mr. Walker's third apartment complex in Lafayette, with Southern Winds, as Ryan had stated, and then Crosswinds being the other. And we think this one will be right up there in terms of the quality of those establishments. And then we think it offers a really unique opportunity with the dog park that's going to be located in a floodplain that otherwise would not be used. So we're happy to answer any questions, and we respectfully request conditional approval.
Do we have any questions from the commission members?
I have a quick question for Ryan. It's really not pertinent to this request, but this strip of ground that is east of this, that's owned by the county, how did that end up being I-3? Just that strip?
I don't know. I'm assuming that's land associated with the ditch and under the jurisdiction of the surveyor's office. It's a real good question. I don't know if there's anyone present in the meeting here that might have more history than I.
All right.
Perhaps not.
Do we have any other questions? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Sally, you got anybody there in the room?
Nobody's in the room.
Thank you. With that, we'll go ahead and give it that 1 minute where we can all stare at each other in our little boxes for public comment.
All right. And no public comment.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Mr. Burns, if you would, please.
Absolutely. When I call your name, please signify your vote for the rezone by saying approve or deny. Jackson Bogan,
Approve.
Larry Leverance,
Approve.
Roland Winger,
Approve.
Gary Schroeder,
Approve.
Jerry Reynolds,
Approved.
Greg Jones,
Approved.
Diana Looper,
Approved.
Vicky Pearl,
Approved.
Michelle Dennis,
Approved.
Tom Murtaugh,
Approve.
Perry Brown,
Approve.
Tracy Brown,
Approve.
Jason Dumkowski,
Approved.
Lisa Dullum,
Approved.
Kathy Parker,
Approve.
Carla Snodgrass.
Approve.
Unanimous approval with one member only being absent.
Thank you. Don, if you'd let us know, don't forget to complete your ballot in that email that Diana sent. And Don, if you'd let us know when those are received, please.
Thank you all.
Will do. I've got 16 votes for approval.
Thank you, sir. The approval of the April Executive Committee agenda.
I move that the following requests for subdivisions be placed on the April 7th, 2021 Area Plan Commission Executive Committee agenda at petitioner's request. Placement thereon being without reference to compliance or non-compliance with the adopted subdivision ordinance. That would be S 4983 Sing Minor Subdivision Minor Sketch.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed? That carries. Determination of variances.
I move that the following request for variance from Unified Zoning Ordinance is not a request for use variance prohibited from consideration by ordinance and statute. BZA 2051, Tippecanoe County Conservation Club, Incorporated.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? That carries. Director's report, and this is the first time that I get to read Sally and David.
Well, I'll kick it off. I think Sally has given me the baton here tonight. And to be at the top, you have your numbers for building permit reports and filing fees and so forth. A couple things to highlight. First would be the fact that the Sally alluded to this earlier, but there's going to be the program certification review on March 22nd, which is essentially the, you might call it, if it's not officially an audit, it's very audit-like. It happens every 4 or 5 years that NDOT comes and reviews the program. And I'm not sure if they spring it last minute on the schedule like they have this time every 4 or 5 years, but they sure have. And so that's been occupying Sally's last days, leaving her little time for anything else. So I think that after the 22nd, we'll be able to see her breathe a little bit easier. But she's been preparing us and staff, and it's going to be an all-day affair, and it'll be a pretty big moment. Right under that is a mention of the multi-hazard mitigation plan. I'll just kind of say this as a new person. This is something that's being done in-house by this department, which is rare. And it's something that Sally has established as part of the culture and part of the capability of this department, to be able to handle these plans requiring different sorts of technical niche knowledge without running out and hiring a consultant or a vendor every time. It's actually very rare, and I really became aware of it when I first started interviewing and researching for this job. Is all the plans on the site, they don't allude to outside external companies that wrote the plan. They're pretty much all done in-house and done with great quality, and probably, I'll say, more saliently than anything else, they're done in a very lean manner, so that there's not a lot of copying and pasting and sort of needless polish. So anyway, I'm getting on a tangent there, but this plan is going to be done in-house with the exception of some modeling software for which Paperless Center will be used. So that's a big deal, and it does provide savings to the county, and as well as I think provides a more uniform and quality product at the end. One of the first things that I'm working on, along with a number of the folks from our staff, is working toward essentially a paperless permitting system where we are going to be able to accept permits, not with paper, but online and through various electronic means. So we're working with the IT department, and they've identified Schneider Engineering as a helping partner in that effort. So that's ongoing. One of the things we're looking at very keenly there is being able to move forward without leaving the folks in the county behind who would not yet be comfortable with that manner and would prefer to go on using paper, at least for the time being. Not everybody is as savvy electronically as we would like necessarily, and it's our duty to make sure that we are able to accommodate everybody that needs our services. So that, I think, is a list of some of the top points from the director's report. And I don't know, Sally, do you have a final note?
Yeah, it's a little easier to talk now than it was at the beginning of the meeting. And I just want to tell you that I can't imagine having been at a better place to have a career than right here. You know, I came to Purdue as a freshman from the eastern suburbs of Cleveland. So this was kind of a shock at the time because it wasn't a very big place. But when I turned 21, I got a job, a summer job that actually ended up lasting a couple years part-time at the Flame, for those of you who were around back then. And it was, you know, one of my best friends and I decided we were too sophisticated to go home for the summer. So we had an apartment for the summer. She took some classes and I worked at the Flame. But that's where I actually met people who lived here. And that had a huge bearing on my decision to stay in this community. So I'm truly thankful that I made that decision, and I wouldn't have stayed all these years if it hadn't been the best place in the world to be a planner and to work. So thank you all for that. And I've met a lot of wonderful Plan Commission members over the years, and you are to be commended for all your volunteer work on the Plan Commission. So thank you.
Sally, from all of us and from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you. We will now, yes, I really wish we could be there in person because this virtual stuff stinks. We will now wait that 30 seconds for the citizens' comments and grievances.
Standing by.
Thank you. And then, Sally, after that, we're going to do something a little different that Mr. Burns will probably slap my hand for. But after 47 years, I think you have the right to make the motion to adjourn the meeting. And so I think you should have your last meeting and you should be the one to make that motion. And if I get in trouble, so be it.
Robert of Robert's Rules of Order approves 100%.
We have no further public comment.
Then Sally, for your final meeting. What's that?
I said, I decree and move that this meeting is over.
There we go. Sally, congratulations. Your last APC meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have to figure out what to do on Wednesday nights.
Tune us in on YouTube.
Yeah, watch us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hey, as always, and Sally, we alluded to it earlier, but thank you for leading us through these wonderful times with the virtual meetings. You absolutely crushed it, you and your team. We don't say it enough. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to you. Best of luck in your retirement.
Thank you.
Have a good evening all.
All right.
Good night.